The atom, pretty familiar. Nucleus in the center, electrons orbiting around. The nucleus is our focus. The nucleus made up of protons and neutrons. Now, the largest nucleus that we know is that of the uranium atom. Its nucleus is a tightly packed structure of 238 protons and neutrons. The thrust of our work is to try to fire neutrons into this huge structure, and if we can get a neutron to stick in here, it will be a breakthrough.
Meitner may have been on the brink of a major discovery, but Germany in the 1930s was a dangerous place to be, even for a world-class scientist.
The US endangers our institute.
When the Nazis came to power, one of the first things they did was to drive out Jewish academics from the universities. Einstein was very prominent, and for that reason, he was one of the first to go. He was hounded out of Germany in 1933. Lisa was not dismissed at that time. She was able to stay because she was Austrian. But in March 1938, Austria was annexed into Germany, and at that point, her situation became untenable.
What is it?
Frightening news.
What's happened?
Kurt Hess is going around saying that I should be got rid of.
I actually knew. I heard today I was going to speak to the treasurer of the institute before I told you. We'll speak to him tomorrow. Come on, let's get you home. It's late. We'll finish up.
The pressure on Meitner was unbearable. Hahn, who was known for his anti-Nazi views, did his best to protect her, at least initially.
I need to talk to you about Lisa.
Not now, I'm too busy.
We have to protect her.
How? What can we do? The situation is the way it is. Who knows what will happen next? She can't stay. It's just not tenable.
But she hasn't got a visa or even a valid passport. And she may soon be forbidden to leave Germany.
We can't harbor a Jew. If she stays, the regime will shut us all down.
Lisa. Orline demands that you leave.
You can't throw her out.
Orline says you should not come into the institute anymore.
Well, I have to write up the thorium irradiation tomorrow, so I have to come in.
You've given up.
When it became clear that Meitner would be dismissed and probably arrested, physicists all around Europe wrote letters inviting her to conferences, giving her an excuse to leave Germany. The Nazis refused to let her go. In July of 1938, a Dutch colleague traveled to Berlin and illegally took Lisa back with him on a train to Holland. The trip was so frightening that at one point she begged to go back. Despite the great danger, she got through.
She had lost everything: her home, her position, her books, her salary, her pension, even her native language. She had been cut off from her work just at the time when she was leading the field and was on the brink of a major scientific discovery.
No matter what privations she suffered, Lisa was still thinking of physics. Amazingly, she and Han were able to collaborate by letter.
I hope, my dear Otto, that after 30 years of work together and friendship in the Institute, that at least the possibility remains that you tell me as much as you can about what is happening back there.
Lisa was invited by an old student friend to spend Christmas on the west coast of Sweden. Her nephew, Otto Robert Frisch, who was also a physicist, came to join her there.
Aunt? 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 Lisa, how are you, my dear? Merry Christmas, Aunt.
I need your help. Come on, let's go out.
But I was hoping you'd help me.
Back in Berlin, Han was getting strange results. He found no evidence to suggest that bombarding the uranium nucleus with neutrons had caused it to increase in size. In fact, his experiments seemed to be contaminated with radium, a smaller atom. He desperately needed Meitner's expert analysis. From afar, she was starting to suspect that something very different was happening in their experiment.
Han and Strassman are getting some strange results with the uranium work.
Really?
A couple of months ago, Han told me that they were finding radium amongst the uranium products. We are looking for a much bigger element, and here we're finding something much smaller. I urged Han to check again. It couldn't be radium. And now he writes to me and tells me that it's not radium, it's barium.
That's even smaller.
Exactly. Han is sure that it's another error, but I don't know anymore. It is at least possible that barium is being produced.
So Han still needs you to interpret the data.
It is my work too, you know.
Exactly.
Well, I can't be there, can I? Come on, let's walk.
Surely he's made a mistake, hasn't he? He hasn't done what you told him to.
Oh, my darling Robert, he may not be a brilliant theorist, but he's too good a chemist to get this wrong.
If you imagine a drop of water, a big drop, it's unstable, on the verge of breaking apart. It turns out that a big nucleus like uranium is just like that. Now, for 4 years, Meitner and Han and all other physicists had thought that if you pump more neutrons into this nucleus, it'll just get bigger and heavier. But suddenly, Meitner and Frisch, out in the midday snow, realized that this nucleus might just get so big that it would split in two.